Who are the most popular peer-to-peer platforms according to my community in 2024? To answer this question, I started to conduct an annual survey from 2021 onwards, where investors can rate their experiences with individual peer-to-peer platforms. Before we dive into this year's results, a few comments on the process and the framework of the survey. The survey is based on a single yet very simple question, which is: how would you rate your experiences with a certain peer-to-peer platform on a scale from 1 to 5? The question and the rating scale did not change in previous years in order to have comparable results. For the second year in a row, there have been a total of 30 different peer-to-peer platforms to choose from. Compared to the previous year, Let's Invest, Nord Street, Landex, Quico Finance and Monestro have been cut from the survey, while Monefit SmartSaver, Crowdpeer, FinTown, MacClear and Lonvest have been added. The survey itself was published on April 4th and the evaluation took place on April 29th, so the voting was online for a total of 3.5 weeks. Next up, let's talk about a few results from the survey before moving on to the individual rankings. Overall, a total of 281 investors took part in the survey, which is a new record in the 4-year-long history of my annual P2P Community Voting. From those 281 investors, 3,256 votings have been submitted, which corresponds to an average of 11.6 ratings per investor. A decent increase from the previous year, where only 7.8 ratings per investor have been submitted. As in the last 3 years, Bondora, Mintos and Estate Guru accounted for the most votes in 2024. On the other hand, Max Crowdfund, Lonvest and Finbi received the fewest votes. Considering last year, with 4 peer-to-peer platforms having less than 10 votes, this can be seen as a good improvement on the scale of fewer rated platforms. Okay, now let's dive into the individual rankings from this year's voting. This year's Red Lantern goes to Max Crowdfund, the only representative from the Netherlands. Although the platform received 43 votings, there was not a single vote in the 4 or 5 range. In addition, the overall rating of just 1.44 points is the worst ever achieved by a platform in the last 4 years. The penultimate place goes to newcomer Lonvest, which only managed to achieve a score of 1.54 with 46 votes. Reinvest24 received 1.57 points less than in 2023, making it the biggest decrease compared to previous year, which is hence only good for P28 this time around. One place ahead is Crowdestor, making it the 4th year in a row being among the worst 4-rated platforms every year. In addition, the score of only 1.68 points is also the lowest rating in the last 4 years. Neo Finance suffers the same fate with P26 having never been rated lower with a score of only 1.77. The Lithuanian-based company was also only one of 2 platforms that didn't receive a top rating this year despite 56 votes. The Czech platform Bondstar remains in P25, the same spot as last year. In addition, the score of only 1.92 points is the lowest since their first appearance 3 years ago. Ländermarket, on the other hand, experienced the second biggest decrease this year, dropping from 10th place and 3.22 points in the previous year to now 24th place and 1.94 points. The platform also received the second most votes in the worst category. P23 goes to Finbi, which improved by 0.1 points compared to 2023. Nevertheless, there is still a lot more room for improvements, with the overall score being just at 2.1 points. A big step downwards happened this year to Mancera, dropping from 3.03 to now 2.14 while receiving 70 votes. As in the previous year, P21 goes to Estate Guru. Even though the Estonian platform was able to maintain its position, the average rating fell by 0.4 to now 2.23 points. In addition, 69 of the total 197 ratings were at the lowest satisfaction level, which is a negative record for this year's survey. P20 goes to Swiss platform Maclear, which records 2.36 points on its debut while receiving 59 ratings. As in the previous year, P19 goes to Juvo Group, one of only 12 platforms to be in the ranking since its first edition in 2021. The platform finished with a score of 2.39, which is more or less the same range as in recent years. The Bulgaria-based Afranga platform, which took a surprising 7th place last year with a score of 3.56 points, dropped down by 11 places and 1.02 points this year. Inrento managed to improve by one position to P17 in 2024, although the average score fell slightly by 0.08 points to now 2.68. P16 goes to Lithuanian agriculture platform Heavy Finance, which was also unable to confirm last year's good result with P10 and 3.26 points. Lande was able to finish one position ahead of its direct competitor, but still missed out to confirm its strong 4th place from 2023. With 57 investors opting for the mediocre category, Lande received the highest number of votes in this category by all 30 platforms. P14 goes to Fintown, which debuts with a decent performance of 2.89 points while receiving 72 votings. Another newcomer comes in at P13 with Credit Star project Manifit Smart Saver. 116 investors have submitted their ratings, and with a score of 3.02, Manifit is the first platform with a slightly above average rating. After being P6 in the previous year, Swapper now only made it to P12 this time around in 2024. The score shows an average of 3.06 points coming from 117 ratings. The best newcomer result this year was achieved by Lithuanian property platform Crowdpeer in 11th place. The Peerberry spin-off recorded a solid 3.14 points on its debut with a total of 91 ratings. After missing out by only 0.23 points last year, Twino now made it back into the top 10 of the community voting in 2024. With 147 ratings and a score of 3.21 points, Twino was also able to improve on its previous year's result by 0.18. One place ahead finishes Estonian platform Inka Marketplace on P9, which achieved the exact same result as in its first appearance 2022 with 3.23 points. Overall, a decent performance, yet unable to match its P5 position from last year with 3.77 points. Debitum Investments comes in at P8 this year, while the score of 3.25 is the best average for the platform in the last 4 years. In addition, the Latvian SME marketplace also managed the second biggest improvement of all platforms compared to the previous year. 7th place goes to Mintos this year with 3.28 points on 211 votings. This means an improvement of 0.33 points compared to the previous year, and it is also the best result the Latvian peer-to-peer marketplace ever achieved within the community voting. After Bondora won the community votings in 2021 and 2022, the result of 2024 is only good enough for P6. Despite making up 2 places from last year, the total score shows a slight decrease by 0.12 points compared to the previous year. P5 goes to last year's winner Esketit, which was unable to defend its top position in 2024. Although the Irish platform achieved a decent score of 3.42 points, it also means a drop of 0.73 points compared to 2023. Also, Peerberry dropped by 1 place this year, meaning it was unable to defend its position on the podium. Nevertheless, the platform still achieved a respectable score of 3.52 points with 183 votings. Similar to 2021, ViaInvest secured 3rd place in 2024, only with a slight edge over Peerberry. With a score of 3.55 and 143 ratings, ViaInvest only missed out by a tiny margin on its personal best result from 2021. Nevertheless, a respectable comeback to the podium after managing only P9 in the previous year. The biggest surprise of this year's community voting came most certainly by Lithuanian property platform Profitus, which took second place in 2024. After last year's debut, where Profitus scored only 2.44 points with 8 ratings, the platform turned it around completely this year and finished with a score of 3.64 while improving by a strong margin of 1.20 points. The top spot, however, is secured by Robocash this year, which finished by a fine margin of 0.02 points ahead of Profitus, while being beaten last year with the same margin by Esketit. A deserving win after all, since Robocash managed to finish on the podium places in the past 3 years. On this chart you can once again see the final result. As always, I would like to point out that the community voting is purely a subjective evaluation which doesn't follow any objective criteria or standards. Therefore, the results should be evaluated accordingly, both in the positive and negative sense. Nevertheless, a few interesting observations can be drawn from this year's survey. The first one to me is whether regulated peer-to-peer platforms have regained popularity among peer-to-peer investors. Last year, 12 of the 30 peer-to-peer platforms have been regulated by a financial institution or regulatory authority. However, not a single one of them was represented in last year's top 8. On the other hand, this year we had 14 regulated peer-to-peer and crowdfunding platforms, which makes it now almost a 50-50 split. In the end, 2 of the top 3 voted peer-to-peer platforms and 6 of the top 11 voted peer-to-peer platforms were regulated this year. Whether this is a coincidence or a new trend is of course unclear, but in any case, regulated peer-to-peer platforms performed significantly better than in 2023. A second observation is that the overall pessimism among many peer-to-peer investors seems to be increasing. If we take all votings from this year into account, we can see the lowest scoring average among all platforms in the past 4 years. While the average score has been between 2.88 and 3.15 in the last 3 years, 2024 showed a score of only 2.67 points across the board. This trend is underlined by the individual differences compared to previous year. While we saw 6 platforms improving their results, we had 19 platforms with a worse performance compared to 2023. In this regard, we can certainly observe a somewhat more negative market sentiment as of late. So that's about it for this year's community voting. If you have any questions, thoughts or feedback regarding the results, then please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I would be very happy if you would consider subscribing to this channel if you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future. That's a wrap. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye bye.